afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Lifestyle with Dr. Moby. I'm Dr. Moby, and today we are really blessed with a great singer from the FM's Matt. Matt, right? How do you say Matt?
Maddie?
Maddie is here with us. How are you doing, Maddie?
I'm great. How you doing?
Good. So Maddie will let's hear from Maddie about his FM's. He's actually made this band in 2017, right?
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about your band. How did you come up with the idea?
So basically the band was started by Frankie, Rex, and myself, who are the two vocalists in the band.
Mm-hmm.
We met in high school together.
Mm-hmm.
And had been making music together for a number of years, and we thought it'd be interesting to form a band together. Because, well, for one, we really enjoy similar music and we thought our voices sounded nice together. But also, both Frankie and I identify as genderqueer, and Frankie's kind of born assigned female at birth, and I was born assigned male at birth. And so we thought it'd be interesting to sort of form a band, and kind of that with the two of us in the band, it would be a sort of interesting concept, breaking down this, or just sort of playing around with this idea of the duality of gender, and expressing it as a spectrum, like an infinite spectrum, as opposed to a binary sort of situation. So that's sort of how we got started. The name is kind of a play on that. It stands for the female males. And a lot of our concepts in the band are about gender, but we also talk about all kinds of other stuff. We have a music video that I think we were just talking about, you were going to show on your program today.
Yeah.
Is something that we it's a song that we wrote back in 2019, actually. And the song was about a pandemic hitting New York City, like a theoretical pandemic hitting New York City. So it was very weird when, a year later, we're sitting in April of 2020 and there's this kind of horrible situation in New York City going on. Cases were spiraling out of control, and there was like people dying everywhere. And we felt it was kind of timely to release this video about it. And we managed to figure out creative ways to shoot the video while all being safely socially distant and in quarantine and stuff. So that was kind of fun. But yeah, it's been sort of a long and interesting history of the band, I guess. Not entirely long. It's been kind of relative, right? But yeah, that's sort of how we got started and where we led to today. I kind of jumped around a bit there.
Yeah, that is very interesting. But that's how great things or great bands started. They just you're destined to pretty much meet somebody who you think is gonna gel together and come up with this band, and you start your journey, right? That's how it.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so let's hear for the audience. Let's hear your music. And I mean, I have heard this 3 times already. So, such a cool music. Okay, let's hear. Okay.
Takes a breath on a supernatural quest to collect the consciousness brigade. Silent city wakes up, even with vacant blind. Take cover in the secret special bar.
Okay, so that is from the music, and it was really fascinating just to watch it. Tell me, who is your inspiration with music? I'm sure over the years you have listened to a lot of them. Oh, sorry, Matt, you're muted.
There we go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say I always like to say something different every time I get asked this question, because there have been like thousands of different influences that we've had over the years. But I guess I should probably celebrate. I was just watching recently that Nine Inch Nails and Depeche Mode got inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame this year. And undeniably, both Depeche Mode and Nine Inch Nails have been big influences on our sound, and in a lot of other ways. I would say there are certainly a lot more contemporary type of like music that has influenced us as well. I have really been enjoying a lot of this new artist Mitski quite a lot. Is like kind of a recent inspiration. I really like a lot of the music that she's been doing, and I've always been a big fan of Trent Mahler, who's also like maybe not a super well known to everyone person, but he's like a Danish producer that makes really cool music. And Angel Olsen put out a really cool album recently. I've been listening to a lot this year. Been listening to what's her name? I'm blanking on her name right now, but Charlotte Gainsbourg. She's the famous French singer Serge Gainsbourg's daughter. She put out a really cool album. I really like her music a lot too. So those are just a handful of influences, and of course we have millions of them. Maybe not millions. That's an exaggeration.
I know. And now this song is really, says a lot, actually. If you look at this song, your recent, it's about New York with COVID, right? It's all Silent City, right?
Yeah, it was kind of I often think kind of a lot about societal upheaval. And that's ends up in a lot of our lyrics. We've written songs about the science and history and philosophical implications of the atomic bomb and its development. We've written songs about singularity and the rise of artificial intelligence and how that will affect humanity. So this song, Silent City, was a song that I had written imagining what a pandemic would be like in New York City. It's honestly something I've always been afraid of. When I was a little kid, all the other kids were afraid of zombies and things like that. I was afraid of viruses. A childhood fear of mine was viruses. So it's kind of always been a thing that's sort of been with me. And I wrote this song in April of 2019. So it was kind of about a year before COVID really hit. And then it was, as we were finishing this album, COVID was starting to hit. And we, we're like, wow, this is kind of crazy. We wrote a song about this very thing happening a year ago. And so we made a video about it, and yeah, there you go.
Wow. No, it is very impressive that you shot a lot of this video even, during the pandemic, right?
Yeah, there was a lot of fun things we did with it. So a lot of the shots in the video, we actually, I had my partner driving a RC car with a GoPro on it.
Mm-hmm.
The RC car was chasing me around in slow-mo.
Oh wow!
A lot of those shots were taken. It looked really cool. It looked like it was done by a professional filmmaker or something, but it was really
Yeah.
just my partner and I messing around with our RC car and a GoPro.
Wow, that's
That
you did
was,
it with
that was pretty
GoPro.
fun.
Wow, wow.
Yeah, you can make yourself look like you're a professional filmmaker with like a dolly and everything, like chasing me around, but it's just an RC car.
Oh wow, wow. That is very interesting. So it means that you do have a lot of talent for making videos too. With
I guess, yeah, I don't know. It's like the needs arise. I haven't ever thought of myself as a video artist, but I have gotten pretty involved with a lot of the videos that we've made.
which is good. Which probably because it's better to have that understanding, because then you can kind of coordinate with even people who know more than you. They can really understand what you were trying to kind of tell them.
Yeah, definitely. I think a lot of the videos that we've made have been pretty collaborative. Not all of them. Some of them we've had directors who've just had like a very singular vision. I haven't been a part of it at all. But I think most of the videos we've made, I've ended up getting pretty involved, and it's a fun creative process because somebody will have an idea for a shot in the film, and we'll be like, oh yeah, that'll work, or that doesn't work, or for whatever reason. We have a new video coming out for a song that we did with an artist named Miss Cherry Delight that we're really excited about.
Mm-hmm.
The song is called Annihilation Denial, and it's about climate change hitting our world and people's just refusal to accept any kinds of beliefs that are uncomfortable for them, or things that involve them having to look towards the future and plan for the future. But
is this the song "Change Your Man Up"?
No, that was one that we'd already released. The song I'm talking about now is a new song.
Oh, it's a new song.
Okay. Yeah, we're actually releasing it on November 19th.
Oh wow! So it's about those environmental issues, which a lot of people are unfortunately try to ignore it. So, right.
Yeah, I think that there's more and more just we're living in a culture where people just sort of choose the truth that feels best for them. People aren't actually interested in the truth any longer. There's not a culture where like the truth is really all that important to anyone. That's really kind of sad and scary, but it's particularly frightening when you think about something like climate change, which is going to be happening over a longer period of time. But we as humanity right now just really have a hard time, or at least a large part of humanity, a really hard time with grappling with how do we deal with the problem that's going to be a really, really serious problem in 30 years from now. So the song kind of has a fitting title, Annihilation Denial. And just kind of going back to what we were talking about with the music videos, I'm really excited to release this music video because it's really cool. We shot a lot of the scenes. I made this kind of crazy suit that I wear with a gas mask and like a garbage bag kind of Tyvek suit looking thing to sort of look like this crazy radioactive person. And we during our kind of location scouting, which I'm putting in quotations, we're kind of walking around checking out where to shoot the stuff. We found this really cool culvert, which these kind of tunnels that pass water underneath trails or roads or things like that. And it turned out to be a really, really creepy, cool place to shoot a video.
Wow.
And really cool shots with me in there, and we used the black light and did some kind of cool stuff with like green toxic sludge, and so it's a lot of fun making music videos, I gotta say.
I see that. I told you. I think you're gifted with that too, so which is great because you can do a lot of creativity with that. So you can actually express both ways, and those make sense. So yeah, about the environment, tell us what we all can do beside spreading the word. And I think the problem is now happening is there is one culture, but the people, like you said, are not interested in truth or finding facts. Those, I think, times have probably disappeared or changed, and people want to hear what they want to hear, and they want to believe what they want to believe, pretty much, right? It's like nobody can say no, this is truth. So there can be denials of environment, climate change, and they say, oh, because we can't handle the truth. I think that's the problem. So
Yeah, I think that we just generally speaking, right, we're all living through this very extreme divide in our country that we're living in right now politically, which is just getting worse and worse and worse, and that's a very scary thing in and of itself. And such a big part of that is that people just have a whole different source of information that they're getting. You and I, and maybe have one place that we get information from and have certain values around that. So I think that, kind of going back to your question, what can people do? I think that just really question where you get your information from, and question, what about it makes you believe that this is true? Like what is backing up this information? Is it are you believing it because it already reinforces a viewpoint that you already have, or is it, are you trusting it because it comes from legitimate sources? I think we sort of need to have a kind of standard for truth, and that's just such an unfortunate thing. But for people that do believe in science and believe that climate change is happening and that it's human made, I think probably the first best thing you can do is to educate yourself a lot about it. There's a lot of things that even I've learned about climate change in the past year that I never knew before. For instance, like one of the worst things you can do for the environment is to take like an old air conditioner and throw it out improperly. The refrigerant in that air conditioner is like unbelievably concentrated greenhouse gas, and if you improperly dispose of an old air conditioner, you might be like that could be a third of your carbon footprint for the entire year, just that one little action. So I think that there's a lot of little things that are important to learn about for people. We're sort of very focused on recycling in this country. I'm not saying you shouldn't recycle, but it also is not like going to save the planet necessarily to recycle. That's so there's all kinds of little things, and it is very complicated. It's very complicated to know what kinds of actions we can take will have a big impact on helping the environment and what kinds won't. But the one sort of like closing message that I would sort of like to have about sustainability is that it really, I think that there is an attitude amongst a lot of people that are concerned about climate change that it's basically futile and that humanity is going to destroy the earth and that there's no way to save it and we're just kind of all screwed. And I sort of used to feel that way myself, but after having researched it a little bit further, I do think that, believe it or not, it won't actually take an absurd amount of resources that we have on this planet to solve this problem in a very meaningful way. We could decide as a civilization to invest a comparatively small amount of our money, into things like sustainable energy, and we could really solve the problem. So monetarily speaking, there is a tremendous amount that society could do and isn't doing right now that does not take a giant economic burden on everybody. So that's the sort of one last message that I would sort of say about climate change is that it's not as hard to fix this as we sort of sometimes think it is.
And that is a beautiful message, because you're absolutely right. Best example I can think is the plastics, those shopping bags. Those are the worst of all. So, we talk about all these, but also, even, plant a tree. Yeah, okay. Or put more trees. I mean, they're cutting trees, but nobody's planting as they're cutting, more, or the more forest they're burning. So those are simple things we can do. Like, we can fix a planet unless we fix these small things. So keep recycling, keep throwing. The plastic bags are the worst. I don't know why they didn't ban it. They should have banned long time ago. Those are the worst of all. They don't decay, and they just accumulate, become toxic for water, everything around you. And then, it affects the fish, it affects animals, everything is affected. But then the carcinogens. The other thing is, in my opinion, also, that involves these using these carcinogens and toxins in the food, preservative, by the name of preservatives. And they add them, and they are very toxic, by the way. So for the environment, and also for the human species.
Yeah. I think as far as those just like things that people can do that will have the easiest things to do that will have the biggest impact, in my opinion, right? So number one, just really educate yourself. So I think what everybody should probably do that is concerned about climate change is to look at assess their own carbon footprint.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So I don't know if you've ever done this, but like if you can, there's a lot of tools you can go to online, like what is my carbon footprint, or carbon footprint calculator, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you can figure it out. You can say, all right, like what kind of heating do I have? How many trips have I taken this year? Have I flown on an airplane a lot of times this year? I think it's really important to be aware of things, because you start to put things into perspective. You start to realize that, oh, like if I take an airplane, 4 times a year or something, or a couple times a year, that's like equivalent to me heating my house for the whole winter, or something like that, right? There's sort of things that we don't realize how big of an impact they are.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that it's just good to be aware of it, so you might say, all right, well, you know what, if I'm concerned about climate change, like maybe I will try to plan, instead of like 3 trips where I'm taking 6 air.
Hey, you got muted.
Sorry, I accidentally hit the wrong button.
No problem.
So anyway, yeah, I think that and one other thing I would say too is that I do also think carbon offsets are important and good. For not a tremendous amount of money, you can buy carbon offsets and sort of donate to things where that your dollars can actually have a really big impact. So when you type in that carbon calculator, you can actually determine like that it might be $100 or a couple $100 to offset your own personal carbon footprint for an entire year. So I do also think donating money is a really big, important thing that you can do. It's probably more important for you to donate $50 or $100 towards carbon offsets in a given year than it is for you to recycle the entire year. So just little things like that. I think just being, and I don't want to sound kind of condescending or anything about like, I definitely have a lot to learn about all this stuff, but that would just sort of be my best advice if I could give it to people, just to kind of inform yourselves.
And that is so true that, and let's hear this one a little bit too. So tell me about this song a little bit.
This song is kind of a anti-patriarchy anthem. called Change Your Men Up. And it's kind of a little bit also, I would say, about my own personal journey of gender queerness and kind of coming out about that. And it's just sort of a fun anthem that people can chant, you know. It talks a lot about toxic masculinity and sort of overcoming that. But I think the song is also a little tongue-in-cheek. It doesn't take itself too seriously. So it is also just kind of a fun anthem.
So basically this inspiration is probably, like you said, you found yourself telling some story about it, right? Discovering it.
Yeah, I think that the song it's definitely kind of just a fun, you know, a little bit doesn't take it too seriously anti-patriarchy anthem, but it also is a bit of a personal song and a little bit like touches on my own journey, and the video kind of touches on that as well. The video, you showed a little clip of it, but it kind of follows this story of me. I kind of start out in the video with more traditional male clothing, and then as the video sort of goes on, I'm sort of dressed up in kind of more female garb. So it's also a little bit about my own journey.
Okay. But thank you for coming to our show. It was great to learn about your music, inspiration, and so forth. So tell me a little bit final thoughts you have for my audience, and then we'll wrap it up. I say, tell me any final thoughts you have for my audience.
Oh, sorry. I thought you were saying like I didn't hear you correctly.
Okay, no problem.
I thought you were saying questions from the audience.
I know.
I was like, all right, where are the questions?
So far, no questions.
So yeah, final thoughts. Yeah, I don't know too much about your audience, but I think if they're still listening to this program, I just have a well of gratitude for them. You know, I would hope that they would be interested in the sort of things we talked about today and interested enough to go check out our music and enjoy it. And if they do, I mean, it would mean the entire world to us, you know, just work so hard on this stuff. And
no, I can tell you, I subscribe your channel and also I listen to, and I love the song. I'm gonna put it in my favorites. I'm gonna keep listening. Silent City is gonna be my favorite song.
Awesome.
You know, I love it. So I think your lyrics and video are awesome to my so my audience definitely likes it. You know, we have all kind of audience here in Northern Virginia area. So, and then they all watch it all across the world, 130 countries. So we have all kind of audience. But thank you for especially talking on the carbon footprints. And as you said rightly, you know, it starts with us kind of learning basics and kind of educating us, making that change, and then the main change will happen. And with that, thank you for coming to our show. Please check his music, and he's awesome. So take care.
Thank you so much. Have a great one.
Take care.